William Morrow and Harper Audio present The Bookshop on the Shore by Jenny Colgan, performed by Eilidh Beaton. Introduction. When I was very small, I read every single children's book in the small section of our tiny local library, except for the big green book about reptiles and amphibians, of which I was terrified. I read books about calligraphy, about table tennis, about brownies. I was a dreadful brownie and hated it. I only ever got one badge. The reader's badge, yes. Books about how to become a spy and about the Bible, as well as every single storybook they had. I thought that was the point. You read, so you read every book in the world. When I got my adult card, age 13, I lasted about half a shelf of Louis L'Amour before I realised that it probably wasn't going to work out for me, although I got through a lot more Tom Clancy than you might expect in a teenage girl. So, with that out of the way, hello, and thank you so much for choosing the Bookshop by the Shore. I know you have a lot of choices. I promise you, I know. This book isn't a sequel to The Bookshop on the Corner, or The Little Shop of Happy Ever After, depending on where you read it. Here is a funny story. Authors don't always choose the titles of their own books, it may surprise you to learn, and long titles were fashionable at the time we chose The Little Shop of Happy Ever After, but I always found it a bit of a mouthful. Then, my old American editor, whom I adore, said, "Well, I'm not sure about the UK title. Would you mind if we changed it?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, "What about The Bookshop on the Corner?" And I said, "Well, the thing is, it's a travelling bookshop, so it's not really on a corner, is it?" And he said, "So I thought, a bookshop that's handy to you is what I liked about the title." And so I said, "Okay, well, how about I park it on a corner?" And he said, "Great." And that is why the only difference between the UK and US editions is the number of times the sentence, "the van parked up on its usual corner," appears. Anyway, this book isn't a sequel, but it has a couple of the same characters. Nina and Surinder are here, but it's Zoe's story entirely. It's also a story, too, about how if you love books, well then, I always think you have a layer of protection against the world, which sounds strange, but that is what I truly believe. If you read, I think it means you don't always have to take your own word for it. It means there are more heads to be in, more lives to be lived than simply your own. My son isn't a big reader, nor a particularly precocious child, but I do remember when he read the Harry Potter series, he came up to me and said, astonished, "It's not like a film. It's like actually being there, Mum." And I still believe reading is the best form of direct, brain-to-brain communication humans have yet figured out, until Facebook makes us all have implants at least. Reading can be an escape. I like watching commuters, particularly, unaware of the grey morning breath around them, wrapped in Thomas Cromwell's England, or Michael Faber's Martian Worlds, or George R.R. Martin's Wild Eries. In the last Bookshop novel, I talked a bit about where and how I read, and lots of readers helpfully contributed their own ideas. One of the interesting things that came up was the line between real books and books read on download and audio. Some people, not many, were hardliners, all, "Oh, there's nothing like a real book." But what was interesting was how many more love the freedom of carrying a library on their phone or in their pockets. And what I notice more and more is people using their Kindles at a large font, taking away the need for reading glasses. How useful is that? They're also easy for propping up in the gym, and I take mine in the bath every day. I turn the pages with my nose, and haven't dropped it in once. And trust me, nobody is clumsier than me. Also, I love audiobooks, as it means you can still be reading when your hands are busy trying to walk the dog. Although with download, I do slightly miss being able to spy on what other people are reading. I wish they'd put the title of the book you're reading at the top of
Sample complete. Ready to continue?